What's going on, everybody? This is Andre here, filling in for Kevin. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of the Xiaomi Pad 6. So without further ado, let's get started. Now before we actually get to the device itself, let's take a look at what comes in the box. So you can see right here is Xiaomi Pad 6. Now inside the box, we got a couple different things. In the first box right here, we got a charging cable and a wall adapter. And as you can see here, this is not a US wall adapter, so if you are located in the US, definitely keep this in mind. Then in the second box, we got a quick start guide, and that's pretty much it. Now moving on to the device itself, as you would expect from a tablet, we are getting a great display here for consuming content. With the Xiaomi Pad 6, we're getting an 11-inch 144Hz IPS LCD display with a resolution of 1800 by 2880, a PPI of 309, and a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. So definitely a great display here in pretty much every way. At 11 inches, of course you expect a tablet to be large, but I do feel like for what it is, it really is the perfect size. It's large enough to consume all kinds of content, which really is what these things are meant for anyway. And when you're doing stuff like reading or web browsing, for example, things are going to be really easy to see. And in addition to this, we're also getting great image quality. With a resolution of 1800 by 2880, we're getting a real sharp, crisp image. So if you're doing stuff like watching videos, for example, where the image quality is a bit more important, you will get a great experience here. And in general, the display is really bright, the colors look great, and even the viewing angles are really good too. So if you happen to be maybe outside, for example, things are still going to be pretty easy to see. And with a 144Hz refresh rate, the movement on the screen is a bit faster and smoother, making the device feel a bit more premium to use. So in general, again, with the tablet, you really expect the display to be nice. But even by tablet standards, I really do think we're getting a great display here with the Xiaomi Pad 6. Now for storage, this device is getting 128GB of internal storage, but unfortunately there is no microSD card expansion here. So on one hand, depending on how you're using it, this could be okay. I mean, if you're really only using your tablet to consume content, then you may not actually need a ton of storage. But if you're maybe someone who has a ton of apps, for example, or maybe you're storing lots of photos and videos on it, or just media in general, then in that case, I feel like 128GB might be a little small. But in general, if you're not really a power user, even without microSD card expansion, I do think the storage here will be at least good enough. For security features, the Xiaomi Pad 6 does not have a fingerprint scanner, but at least we are getting face unlock, so definitely nice to get at least one option to unlock it besides a pin. Now for the camera here, although I want to say in general, tablets usually aren't known for having really crazy good cameras, I do think what we're getting here is pretty decent. Up front, we're getting an 8-megapixel front-facing camera, and then on the back, we're getting a 13-megapixel rear camera. Looking at the actual camera app itself, for what it is, I do think the photo quality here looks pretty good. So if you are looking for a tablet for mainly consuming content and stuff like that, but you still do want the ability to snap an occasional nice photo every now and then, I do think for that kind of use, as long as your expectations aren't too high, it will at least get the job done. And while we're looking at this, I do want to take a minute to point out this display is really nice. I mean, again, tablets are really expected to have a nice display since, after all, I feel like consuming content is really their main purpose. But I mean, just looking at this, I have personally used all kinds of different tablets, including higher end ones, and I will say in general, the image we're getting on this one is definitely impressive. So in general, if you are someone who tends to consume a lot of content, especially watching all kinds of videos and things like that, then I do think you really will be happy with the image we're getting here. I also want to point out that despite having a max recording quality of 1080p in the front camera, it actually can record 4K videos in the rear. So for what it is, definitely impressive. Now for the RAM and processor, with the Xiaomi Pad 6, we're getting 8GB of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 875G processor. Now when it comes to overall performance, I will say this thing is honestly so much faster than I expected. Sure, at this point in 2023, the average tablet, even the more affordable ones, tend to have pretty decent performance in my experience, but in general for what it is, as you might have guessed based on just the processor itself, this is really fast. So if you're going to be on it a lot, maybe you're doing stuff like mobile gaming, for example, where you really need more processing power for a smoother experience, or maybe you're just going to be using your device a lot, maybe you're doing stuff like video editing, or maybe you're just a power user in general, and you want something a bit faster than your average tablet, whatever the case may be, if the performance and overall processing power is more important to you, then this tablet will be a great choice for you. Now I ran a benchmark test on this tablet using Geekbench 6, and here are the results I got. So with a single core score of 1303 and a multi-core score of 3379, we're definitely getting some impressive numbers here. And to put this into perspective, these numbers are actually on par with a pretty high-end smartphone. So in general, again, if you're going to be on this a lot, especially doing more demanding activities like, again, maybe higher performance mobile gaming or editing videos videos and stuff like that. For that kind of use, I do think this tablet will be a great choice for you. And for what it is, I am really impressed with the performance here. Now for the battery, with the Xiaomi Pad 6, we're getting a really large 8,840 mAh battery that supports 33 watt fast charging. Depending on where you're located, the 33 watt charger included with the tablet may or may not actually be compatible for you. But overall, I would say 33 watt charging is a pretty good speed. But keep in mind, since the battery is just so large, it might not actually really feel that fast, so be prepared for that. But in general, if you are in an area where you can't use the charger that's included, keep in mind, of course, to actually use the full fast charging, you will need a charger that's at least 33 watts, so don't forget that. But in general, aside from that, both the battery size and the charging speed are really impressive here, especially the battery size. I mean, with an 8,840 mAh battery, you are going to get a lot of battery life here. So if you are someone who's maybe watching lots of videos, maybe you're taking this on a flight, for example, in that kind of situation, you really won't have to worry about charging this throughout the day. And then down the road, as the battery degrades, which of course all batteries will eventually, with a battery like this, compared to say the typical 5,000 mAh battery you find in a smartphone nowadays, it is going to last quite a bit longer before it really affects you. So if you like to get one device and keep it for a longer time without having to replace it, then this tablet will be a great choice for you. And I feel like, unlike a device like a smartphone, for example, people don't typically get a tablet and then plan to replace it every year. For something like this, you're probably going to want to keep it for more of a long-term kind of thing. And with such a large battery, I do think the Xiaomi Pad 6 will be great for that. Now, as far as the software goes, the Xiaomi Pad 6 does have Android 13 and MIUI 14, so definitely nice. And in my experience, I personally haven't had any kind of performance issues, no lagging or slowdowns or anything like that. So not only is the processing power great, but the software is really well optimized and things do run really well. So with this device, definitely expect to get a great experience using it. Another cool thing about this tablet is it does have stereo speakers, which on one hand, I'm not really that surprised by, considering, again, this type of device, unlike a smartphone, for example, is really primarily meant for consuming content. So it's not like they're gonna put terrible speakers on a tablet, but at the same time, still definitely a great thing to have. But now that we've gone over some of the specs and features of this tablet, let's take a closer look at the hardware. Now overall, we are getting a really nice, sleek, modern design here, and the materials do feel really high quality. On the left side here, we got nothing, but as you can see, it is really thin, so definitely nice and modern looking. On the bottom, we got the speakers, microphone, USB-C port. On the right side, we got our volume down, volume up. Then on the top, we got our second set of speakers and the power key. On the back, we got our camera module, flash, and then Xiaomi branding down here. Now again, like I said before, the tablet does have a really nice, sleek, modern design. And not only that, but the materials are really high quality too. The build quality is great. We got a nice finish here on the back that really doesn't pick up fingerprints, and it does have a good amount of weight to it too. So in general, if you're looking for a tablet that not only looks nice and works really well, but also has a nicer, kind of more premium look and feel, then this tablet will be a great choice for you. But in conclusion, my overall first impressions of the Xiaomi Pad 6. Now honestly, just based on the specs alone, I was already expecting it to be pretty good, but after actually using it, I am really impressed. Not only are we getting a really large, great looking display, really good build quality and more of a premium design, a camera that not only takes really good photos for what it is, but also can record 4K videos at least in the rear, and really surprisingly great performance too. But despite getting all this, the tablet is also really affordable too. So if you are looking for an affordable tablet and you really want to maximize the actual value you're getting for the money, then I do think the Xiaomi Pad 6 is definitely worth considering. Now for more information on pricing and availability, definitely check out the link in the video description, because this does change from time to time. And stay tuned because I will be making several other videos about this tablet in the future. But again, this is Andre here filling in for Kevin. This is the Xiaomi Pad 6, and I will see you in the next video.